Hello, hello, my loves. Welcome back to the channel today for your full moon in Sagittarius reading here. We are going to just go ahead and get started. I'm going to place some of these oracle cards and then I'll shuffle and pull some of these tarot cards as well. There is a lot going on at this time. Full moon in Sagittarius. We just entered Gemini season, so happy birthday to my fellow Geminis. My birthday's here in about 1 week here on the 30th. And, you know, soon upcoming we'll have our June Geminis, and then after that it'll be Cancer season, the start of summer, official warmth and brightness and other things coming in good for you. We also have Jupiter entering the sign of Gemini here very soon. And, whoop, there we go, okay. We have Jupiter entering the sign of Gemini here very soon, which is supposed to be bringing in lots of luck. Look at your own specific birth chart and see what house Gemini is in for you to get kind of a better idea of where that luck is going to be showing itself in your specific situation. Now, this is a collective tarot reading, so take what resonates and drop what does not. There's going to be a lot of different examples and things like that that I just use to help explain some of the energy, and sometimes it is your situation and sometimes it's not. So, you know, take what resonates, drop what doesn't. Let's go ahead and get started with the oracle cards here. Our first one that we have is the Horse Spirit, which says freedom is yours. So yeah, the sign of Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury, and Mercury is a very fast-moving planet. It's the planet closest to the sun, and it moves further, or faster, I guess, since it has less distance to go around the sun. And with Jupiter being in Gemini, this is a lot of fast-moving energy. This is things happening very rapidly, and it may not seem to be like much at first. It builds more like a snowball, right? You start with one little teeny tiny piece and you have a bunch of teeny tiny pieces everywhere else, and as you start to pick up on this energy, it begins to build and kind of snowballs. So freedom is yours. Remember that at this time, you know, things are moving fast, but you have the freedom and you have the ability to move this momentum in any which way you want it to. This is a really powerful time for manifestation because Jupiter is associated with luck. It's associated with, you know, bringing in good blessings for you. Especially for those of you who have, you know, just recently gone through like a spiritual upgrade. Your next card here is the White Raven Spirit, which says trust in the magic. There is, yeah, it's a very magical, very powerful time right now. This full moon, too, with it being in the sign of Sagittarius, Sagittarius is the pioneer, right? This is the person who goes out. They're a journey. They go on a journey in order to discover things, discover truths about themselves, about the world around them. They're constantly learning, constantly searching and seeking information. And sometimes, you know, we want to have all the answers, but we also need to learn how to trust in those moments where we don't. So the White Raven Spirit's just reminding you to trust in the magic. You know, there's a lot of things going on, and it may not always be clear immediately why things are happening the way that they are, but over time and through time, they kind of have a way of making themselves clear. And then the last card here is the Deer Spirit, which says bring a gentle touch. Gemini is a very unserious sign. This is a sign that is, you know, very carefree. They're very, you know, go with the flow kind of energy. And a lot of that is the influence of Mercury. But Deer Spirit, bring a gentle touch. You just need to make sure that you're not overdoing things right now. And as we said, with things starting to build and snowball, a lot of this is going to be happening with very, very little push on your end. You know, the snowball, it takes a little bit to get rolling, but really that momentum that builds isn't from you constantly having to push and force. Things are going to happen naturally anyway. So just try not to get too caught up in forcing things, especially where it's not meant to be forced, if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and get started on these tarot cards here. We have, starting off here, we have the Ten of Swords, and I'm going to pull cards here in a minute to clarify these, but we're just going to go through these first real quick. We have the Ten of Swords, followed by the Fool in reverse. So what this is telling me with these two cards right after each other is that we are entering a new chapter at this time. The Ten of Swords indicates that something is done and over with. Something has died. And in the tarot, you know, death in life kind of gets this bad rap because it's a painful or uncomfortable experience for a lot of people. But death in the tarot actually has really beautiful significance about things ending and learning to be okay and accept and move forward into a new phase. So the Ten of Swords here is to say that even though something has ended recently, even though it might have been a little bit painful, it's all happening for the best. And moving on to the Fool in reverse is saying that there is some sort of new beginning opening itself up to you at this time. However, with this being in the reverse, it may not necessarily be something that you quite have in your eyes yet or in your sight at this time. So you may still kind of feel that you are in this in-between space where you have had something end, but you're still waiting for this new beginning or this new opportunity to open up. Some of you, I feel, may even be kind of in this phase of doubting that something is even going to turn out better, or that you're doubting that this beginning is going to even manifest itself. You know, you may find that you feel like you're in the dark right now. But, you know, as I said, we're going to clarify these in a little bit, and we'll kind of get a little bit more into that energy as well, too. The next card here is the Five of Swords in reverse. And this signals to me that this is coming from a place of wanting to end some sort of conflict. So the Five of Swords in the upright, this is someone who is, you know, standing up against other things coming at them. And it can even sometimes have like a, almost kind of like a feeling of like people are out to get me in a way. And with this being in the reverse, this is actually you choosing to move away from conflict, moving away from, you know, engaging in this sword play with other people. You know, you may find that there are people who are maybe talking negatively about you or saying things that, you know, are trying to get a reaction out of you, and you're just not interested in engaging anymore in this. You're not interested in furthering this because, as I said earlier, a lot of you have gone through this spiritual growth at this point. And you're no longer interested in this verbal back and forth or this verbal sparring with these other people, with these people that are trying to build conflict. The next card after the Five of Swords here is the Queen of Cups in reverse. And the Queen of Cups in reverse, now this one's kind of a little interesting. We'll get into it a little bit more as we clarify here in just a minute, but the Queen of Cups, normally this card is someone who has done a lot of emotional maturing and has come to this point where their emotions no longer rule them. And with this card being in the reverse, you know, I don't want to say that like you're being ruled by your emotions, but I almost feel as though there's still room for some growth here emotionally. This also kind of has a little bit of a feeling of like doubting your intuition because, again, normally this card in the upright, the Queen of Cups, is someone who is very intuitive. They trust their emotions and they allow their emotions to, not to rule them, but they allow them to help guide them because that's really what emotions are. They're meant to be guiding tools and not controlling things. You know, we're not meant to be controlled by our emotions, but to, you know, honor and listen to them. And normally the Queen of Cups is very good at this, but I just feel like there's maybe some sort of blind spot here where maybe there's possibly some more room for growth in this area, but also I feel like, you know, with you not necessarily having this Fool in reverse scenario yet, I feel like a lot of you are just doubting your intuition about what the next best plan is, what the next phase of this is. Because, yeah, something's ended. You have the possibility here for a new beginning in the upcoming future. You're taking a step in the right direction, moving away from conflict, but that it's still too open-ended for you. And I think a lot of this is just a lot of that confusion about where you're supposed to be going next. And I think a lot of this, too, is that you're learning how to listen to your emotions in this Queen of Cups energy. You're learning how to do so, but it's still something you're pretty new at. And so listening to your emotions is a skill that's really difficult to learn how to flex. And so I feel like some of you might even be having doubts about what you are feeling, doubts about where you're supposed to go from here. You feel like you're starting to try to do everything right and you want to live this new life, but you're just kind of still, I don't know, doubting whether or not this is the right next step. I hope that makes sense. As I said, we'll clarify here in a minute. But your last card here is the Hermit. Now, this is one of the two major arcana cards you have in this reading. You have the Fool card in reverse, and you have the Hermit card. The Hermit is associated with the sign of Virgo, I believe. I'm like almost positive it's Virgo. But the Hermit signals that, you know, things may feel very isolated. You may feel very isolated. You may feel like you're kind of in a dark space by yourself at this point. The Hermit, to me, kind of feels like a little bit of the answer for what all of this is going on. When you are in a moment of doubt, you know, you really need to take a deep dive, because a lot of our inner knowing, right? That's where our intuition comes from. And that's really what intuition is it's a deep inner knowing. And when you feel disconnected from your intuition, you're actually disconnected from yourself. You're disconnected from possibly, I'm feeling like some of you are disconnected from the reason why you want this new beginning, the reason why you want this new thing for yourself. I think a lot of you see the benefit of this new future, or you see the benefit of this new path forward, but it just feels so foreign to you that you're having a really hard time figuring out how to step into that next phase, because you're disconnected from your sense of self, the sense of self that inspired you to even want to do this thing in the first place. So ultimately, you need to take some time out, take some time to really meditate on your next plans forward and really just sit in the stillness of now. Because when you learn to be silent, when you learn to meditate and actually find stillness, that's when spirit or the world or the universe or whatever you believe, your guides, that's when they actually have an opportunity to speak to you. If you're talking with your conscious, if you're, you know, so caught up in the everyday now stuff, your subconscious, your guides, they're not going to have an opportunity to speak around you. You need to be silent first. So a lot of you, this is going to be a really good time to excuse me. So a lot of you, this is going to be a really good time to learn where and learn how to find that stillness so that you can actually connect with where you want to go, what it is that you want next. All right. Whoo, you got double Hermit here. Okay. Interesting. Let's start at the beginning here. We have the Seven of Swords with the Ten of Swords. So yeah, a lot of what you are moving away from, a lot of what is ending here with this Ten of Swords is this Seven of Swords energy. Now, when we look at the tarot in the Five of Swords, you had the Five of Swords with conflict here further on in your reading. In the Seven of Swords, the person is actually holding their Five of Swords. And it's meant to kind of symbolize this energy of like when someone does something bad to you, getting back in an attempt to get even, but really what you're doing is creating more problems in the future. And so a lot of you, this means that you are moving away from this energy. You're moving away from this need to retaliate in this conflict that you're experiencing. I definitely feel like a lot of you, what you have upgraded to a new phase of your spiritual self. You have upgraded to a new phase of how you are showing up in the world. And because of that, you're needing to leave some of this old, like, low vibration behavior behind. And this is one of them, that need to retaliate. Now, also, on the flip side of this card sometimes shows up in a way that makes it almost like taking back one's power. And when you have this need to retaliate, it's the other person, right? You're giving your power to that person to be, I guess, triggered by what they're doing. So when you stop engaging, when you stop giving your power away by retaliating and staying in this stuck low vibration energy, you are actually taking your power back in a way, because you're choosing to say to yourself, I am better than that. I am more mature. I am, you end up taking your power back because you're not giving it away to somebody else by allowing them to make you upset, by allowing them to get in your head enough to where you feel the need to, retaliate, to bounce back at somebody for what they did to you. So it's kind of that dual piece here that I'm getting with that 10 of Swords and that 7 of Swords. Is that you're moving away, and by doing so, you're actually taking your power back in this situation. Now with the Fool in reverse, you have the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So a lot of you, the 5 of Pentacles in reverse, firstly, this is a card that is about moving away from like lack mindset, moving away from poverty mindset. And so the Fool in reverse, I feel like a lot of you may find that you're wanting to move on this new journey in order to move away from this lack in your life. And in the case of the Pentacles, it can be money. So a lot of you are wanting to move away from possibly like a toxic workplace where people are expecting you to retaliate like this. However, Pentacles are about a lot more than just money. It's about our resources, things that we're giving our time, our attention, our energy to. And so if you've been giving a lot of your energy towards, thinking about these conflicts and being stuck in this he said, she said kind of thing, I think a lot of you are finding that, you want to do something different. You want to find something that is actually going to fill up your cup and make you feel better, and not something that's going to make you feel as though you are drained. And, I definitely feel that you have a very strong desire to move in this direction away from this energy. However, I think a lot of you are just a little bit lost on how to really do that. That's really what I'm feeling with this, is that you kind of know that it's almost like but you don't know how to do it. You are aware that something needs to change, but you aren't necessarily aware of the steps moving forward. Because the Fool, this is someone who throws themselves in with abandon, right? They allow themselves to move forward. And the 5 of Pentacles is this, it's this stuck energy, feeling like you've been left out in the cold. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of you are just struggling to figure out where to go next, struggling to figure out how you're going to actually fill up your energy in a way. Okay, let's move on. You have the 5 of Swords in reverse with the King of Swords. So if the swords signify our thoughts, then the King of Swords is someone who has mastered their mind. The 5 of Swords in reverse, we said this was about conflict, about you stepping away from conflict. And by doing so, you are actually proving mastery over your own thoughts, over your own actions. And in fact, stepping away from this conflict, stepping away from this, need to retaliate, like we were saying, is actually proving your maturity here with the King of Swords. Now, swords also represent air signs, and this is a lot of air sign energy happening right now with Jupiter entering the sign of Gemini, with the Sun just entering Gemini, Venus entering Gemini. We have a lot of very strong Gemini happening right now in the chart, So a lot of you are, with stepping away from this conflict, you are exercising your maturity, and you're actually showing, I don't want to say conquership because that almost sounds forced, but you're showing, actual mastery over your thoughts and your thinking mind. So not allowing things to get to you, not allowing things to upset you, understanding where you come from and what you are doing. And by doing that, you're actually proving yourself to be the bigger person. in this place. Now, with the Queen of Cups in reverse, you have the Four of Swords in reverse. So the Queen of Cups in reverse, we said this was about, some emotional... What was I saying with it? It's this emotional maturity. I mean, you have the mental mastery, but the Queen of Cups is the emotional, right? So, I mean, with that strong King of Swords energy, some of you could actually be kind of intellectualizing versus feeling your emotions. And it's kind of left you feeling out of control, or maybe doubting whether or not you have the emotional strength to handle things properly. Because I feel like you may have been squishing down that feeling, or any of your feelings, really. And with the Four of Swords in reverse, this is definitely the signal that you are resisting rest. You are resisting stillness and recuperation. The Four of Swords is our signal to rest after hurt. This is the body needing time to heal after something harming it, causing it distress. And when this shows up in the reverse, it's saying that some of you could very well be avoiding this rest, maybe because you're scared about what emotions might come up when you do allow yourself to rest. But the thing is that that's not going to get better until you allow yourself the space. You have to give yourself space, because if you don't, this is just going to keep festering. Like, this feels like a deep emotional wound that has just been festering. You've been putting it off. You've been putting off your rest, and you've been trying to keep yourself busy, or trying to keep yourself, maybe not even busy, but just trying to keep yourself from feeling this. And you really actually have to do that first. When our emotions are like up here, we have to feel it and bring it back down here so that we can actually operate with our best, from our best place. And I'm really being drawn to that Deer Spirit card. Bring a gentle touch. Be gentle with yourself. Emotions are natural. They're normal. You're allowed to have them. Now, obviously, that you also have to be responsible for, your emotions as well. Just because you have an emotion doesn't mean you need to act on it. But it does mean that you need to feel it and that you need to acknowledge it. So I feel like a lot of you definitely need that rest, definitely need that recuperation. Let's talk about this last set of cards here. We have the double Hermit, okay? You have the Hermit from one deck and then the Hermit from my other deck here. So this is Spirit basically saying, like, you need to take some time to actually listen. You need to go on this deep journey, because there's something that Spirit is trying heavily to communicate with you. And the double Hermit is basically like confirmation that, yes, this is what is happening. This is what you need to do. Yes, yes, yes. Please listen. Because double Hermit, like, of all the cards that we could have pulled today for this reading to go with that Hermit card, we got the Hermit again. It's literally doubling down and saying, hey, you need to go on this deep inner dive. A lot of this is about self-reflection. I'm going to put the cards closer so you can kind of see them. But from this deck here on Mystic Mondays, this person is looking deep into a mirror, and it's being reflected back at them. So they're looking at themselves, deeply reflecting on their inner world, the things inside of them. In this other deck over here, this is a Hermit holding the Star. This is actually the Star from the Star card in the Major Arcana. And the Star is about healing. It's about finding your light in the darkness. And you can see that that Star is acting as a guiding light in his lantern for his journey ahead. So, it signals, yes, that deep journey that we need to have. It also signals a thirst for knowledge. And we were saying that, Sagittarius, with this full moon being in Sagittarius, that this is about finding deep knowledge, going on a journey. Those are all attributes for the sign of Sagittarius. And with this full moon happening in Sagittarius, this is learning about yourself, really. With what we're seeing here, this is about that deep journey, looking at yourself, and even like learning to be okay sometimes with the things that we may not always be happy about with ourselves. So This can look like shadow work. This can look like confronting, deep-seated beliefs about who you are. But I feel like mostly overall what's going on with this here is that, you are leaving behind something that felt very toxic. From what I'm seeing here, you are leaving behind old habits, old thoughts, old beliefs, old reactions. You're no longer allowing yourself to retaliate or react to what other people are saying. You're trying to take your power back, but now you're at this place where you're like, what next? Now that I have made the decision to start forward, I've taken maybe the first step to trying to, realign myself in my path. But what does the next step look like? And really the only person that can answer that is you. You are the only person who can answer for yourself what your next step is along the way. And one of the best ways to do that, to connect with yourself, is to go on this deep inner journey. Really, I encourage you, take some time to meditate. Take some time to silence your mind so that you can actually hear what spirit or what your guides are trying to tell you. Because with that double hermit card, there is definitely some really strong messages that your guides are trying to tell you. Now, this is a collective reading, so I cannot tell every single one of you what your guides are trying to say. However, I hope that this encourages you to actually, tap in and listen. If you're not into meditation, try, intuitive movement. If you're not into meditation, try a spiritual bath or some sort of practice for yourself, prayer, whatever it is, journaling. Allow your mind to expunge a little bit so that you can actually hear what needs to be said. Now we have 3 cards that came out here. This is from my Universe Has Your Back deck by Gabrielle Bernstein. I use this in a lot of my readings. It's one of my favorites, and I just really love to leave the reading off with some encouraging messages from the universe. So I'm going to read all 3 of these, and, again, general readings. Some of them are meant for you, maybe more than one. But I feel like we're covering, some good bases here. So the first card here says, oneness is my true nature. Then we have, true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. Yes, exactly what we were saying with the Queen of Cups in reverse here with that 4 of Swords. You need to allow yourself time to feel, and the true healing can begin when you allow yourself the space to feel. But until you do that, you're going to be stuck in reactivity. You're going to be stuck, reacting to the triggers and not actually dealing with them or processing them. And then the last card here says, I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. This one is one of my favorite cards in this entire deck, because this one to me is just so powerful in saying that we always have the option to choose. Our thoughts, and I'm not speaking from a place of holier than thou with this, right? Because I've dealt with intrusive thoughts. I've dealt with, bad thoughts that come into your head unannounced, right? And it's that first thought, it's so easy to allow it to take hold, right? It's so easy to allow that first thought to be the first thing that you react upon, right? However, you have the choice. You have the choice to not react on that first thought. You have the choice to take a step back and make space for yourself, because that thought, well, yes, you didn't have control over maybe an intrusive thought coming into your mind in the first place. You do have a choice on how to react to it. And you also have a choice on how to choose to move forward. You can choose to live in fear, you can choose to move through fear, or you can choose again, and you can choose love. And I think a lot of you are moving away from that fear of where you were living at before. I think where you were before was so dark and holding you back, so full of these toxic people or toxic things coming at you. And choosing to not react is choosing love for the other person, but also for yourself. And choosing to, choosing to try to find space to listen is choosing love for yourself. So, Anyway, that's where we're going to leave the reading for today. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel today. I love you all so much, and I hope to be seeing you all again very, very soon.